Hi guys, former Prime Minister Liz Truss has been trying to resuscitate her standing by publishing books, speaking at right-wing events, and conducting as many interviews as possible. She no doubt has her eye on leading the Conservative Party either before the general election or after it. But while Truss thinks she can distance herself from the mini-budget that caused so much harm and is still seeing British people pay higher mortgages, an expert will appear to bring her down to earth. Here Ed Conway from Sky News, who covered the impact of the mini-budget quite extensively, destroyed Liz Truss's narrative with a single piece of paper. Enjoy.
Liz Truss, do you have an apology for the people whose mortgages went up so much during your time in office?
Well, I question the premise of what you're asking me, Ed, because the fact is mortgage rates have gone up across the world. The issues that I faced in office were issues of not being able to deliver the agenda I'd set out because of a deep resistance within the British economic establishment. But I think it's wrong to suggest that I'm responsible for British people paying higher mortgages. That is something that has happened in every country in the free world. And as I said in the leadership election back in 2022, the reality was that interest rates have been too low for too long. And I think that's part of the cause of the economic problems that Britain is currently experiencing.
So even though mortgage rates did go up, you'd concede they went up very sharply during your time in office?
Well, they have gone up everywhere.
Yeah, but they went up.
There was a global rise. There was a global rise in mortgage rates, and I think it's disingenuous to say that was as a result of the policies I pursued. Now, we had a specific issue with the gilt market, but that issue was driven by the actions of the Bank of England. And what frustrates me, Ed, is the fact that journalists like you are not asking those difficult questions of the Bank of England of what they did in autumn 2022.
The reason I asked though is that so I was covering this at the time, and I kind of remember looking at all of these charts and trying to conceding that the Bank of England was a part of this. But for instance, rates, while the Bank of England was moving towards tightening interest rates, quantitative easing, they were kind of going up a bit, and then suddenly they went through the roof directly after the mini budget. So there is pretty much kind of clear cause and effect there.
Ed, exactly at the same time, that was when the governor of the Bank of England announced that he was selling £40 billion of government gilts.
Well, it's not quite the same time. It wasn't quite the same time.
That was
one day, and then the next day came the mini budget.
It is exactly the same time.
These charts are day by day, and day by day you can see not much going on. And then the mini budget happens. This is, for instance, the cost of insuring the UK against default, and then suddenly up goes that cost. So the UK.
I would add the music from Curb Your Enthusiasm, but then I would receive a copyright infringement. Liz Truss is trying to sell this idea, of course, that it's nothing to do with me. It was the Bank of England. It was the Bank of England's fault. Nothing to do with me or my mini budget. And unfortunately, the further we move away from then, the longer time has passed, the more people who will actually believe it. So it's important that you have somebody like Ed Conway from Sky News, an expert, somebody who followed it extensively, pointing it out. No, it's down to you and your mini budget. You can try and say it was the Bank of England or it was the deep state or whatever. It was you and your mini budget that was compiled by your friends at Tufton Street. Now, notice at the beginning she was asked for an apology. She wouldn't deliver an apology because either she doesn't know that she's done something wrong, or she knows but she will refuse to apologise, which is usually the case with politicians. They'll blame somebody else. Like I'd actually have a little bit more respect for Liz Truss if she said, look, we made a massive mistake. I was wrong. The mini budget was a disaster. But I've learned from that. I've surrounded myself with real experts, not hacks, not people who want to destroy Britain. And then I'd actually have a bit more respect for her. Not a huge amount, but a little bit more. But she's not. She's not going to do that. She's just going to blame everyone else. A bit like Boris Johnson. It's not my fault, everyone else's fault. So that's why it's so important that somebody calls this out and holds up. Look, you can see there, I don't know if you can see on your screen, but you can see the massive increase on the day of the mini budget. Now, she's trying to blame the Bank of England. The Bank of England, in a sense, responded to the mini budget. So yes, the Bank of England increased interest rates, but as I said, it was in response to that. Liz Truss wants to blame the Bank of England. She doesn't want to blame herself or Cosy Kwarteng. And the sad reality is, as I said at the beginning, is that the further we move away from this event, the more people will start to believe the lie that it was nothing to do with Liz Truss. It was people within the civil service or within the Bank of England or the IMF. All of these people were working against Liz Truss, and it's not her fault. She may be the next leader of the Conservative Party, but I don't think she'll win excuse me. I don't think she'll win an election. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.